Alpine's performance in the Monaco Grand Prix was a mixed bag. While they managed to score points for the second time this season, the weekend didn't unfold as planned, particularly concerning the teammate dynamics. Esteban Ocon's overly ambitious move at the corner before the tunnel resulted in disaster, not only earning him a penalty for the upcoming Canadian Grand Prix, but also likely severe repercussions from Alpine. Bruno Famin, the team's boss, has openly expressed his disappointment with the situation. Amid growing rumors of Ocon's talks with other teams regarding his future from 2025 onwards, one can't help but wonder if this is the last straw for Ocon at Alpine. The current French drivers at Alpine, Ocon and Pierre Gasly, are arguably among the most unstable teammates on the grid. Their rivalry, which dates back to their karting days, still simmers beneath the surface every time they go racing. This tension might have contributed to the accident that occurred on the opening lap of the Monaco Grand Prix, where Ocon attempted to gain an advantage over his teammate and pushed him extremely wide into the barrier, resulting in wheel contact that sent the car airborne. This incident caused irreparable damage to Ocon's car, specifically the gearbox, and elicited angry messages from Pierre Gasly, who was left in disbelief as to why Ocon would make such a move on one of the toughest tracks to overtake on the calendar. Moreover, they are teammates, and they could have easily both finished within the points. This missed opportunity might have plunged Alpine even deeper into the Constructors' Championship, especially with Williams scoring 2 points this weekend, as well as Alex Albon. Bruno Famin has openly addressed the latest incident, and for the first time ever, it seems like the French team understands where the issues lie. Even if we were to look at the previous weekend in Imola, we'd notice that Gasly wasn't particularly happy with how Ocon got the priority treatment yet again. After the latest shenanigan from Esteban, Famin stated that apart from the three-place grid penalty that Ocon has received from the FIA, the team would deal with it in a much stricter way. Bruno has threatened Ocon with consequences for his actions, wanting to remind him that he's without a contract for next year, and with the options not being extremely fruitful for the Frenchman, we could very well see a different approach from Alpine in the negotiation. When talking about the incident, Famin went on to say, "It's sad that this kind of incident happened. It's exactly what we did not want to see. Ocon's attack was totally inappropriate, and there will be the appropriate consequences." It's quite interesting that Ocon did not understand the magnitude of the incident that he caused, potentially leaving his teammate outside of the points, and even more importantly, causing significant financial damage to the team in a period where Alpine would have to be focused on developing their car after reaching the weight limit. They're now forced to spend tons of money on a new gearbox, which was the part that prevented Ocon from getting back into the race. The Frenchman refused to comment on the penalty that was given to him by the FIA, and when talking about the clash with Gasly, he said that he didn't really review the accident, so he couldn't answer this question. But the fighting mentality was present in his voice prior to the more apologetic tone that he had in the tweet. And while admitting that you have to take care when you are fighting your teammate, and crashes like this are a natural consequence of pushing 120% to get into the points, Ocon went on to write, "Today's incident was my fault. The gap was too small in the end, and I apologize to the team on this one, hoping for a deserved points finish for the team today." Now, whether Ocon is sorry or not, the results stand as they are. He was taken out of the race through an action of his own, and although this hurt Alpine massively in the Constructors' Championship, even though we're talking about 1-point performance only, it does hold the potential to further implicate more damage to Esteban's career. Although he was heavily supported by the French squad throughout the past couple of years, especially with the arrival of Gasly as the team hoped that the tensions could simmer down, we might as well get a new lineup in Alpine in the following period. Even before the crash in Monaco happened, the situation between Ocon and Alpine was not the greatest, which was primarily due to the heavy underperformance of the car. Of course, that is not an excuse for the poor overtake attempt from Ocon, as a similar thing happened last year in Australia when the car was far more competitive. But nonetheless, the frustration in Ocon and Gasly is quite visible, which could be the primary trigger for the action that was taken by Esteban, even though he wouldn't be in the right to do so. We cannot take back time, and what we have to look forward to now is the future of Alpine, and whether the dream team of all French drivers would have to be broken for the sake of future growth and peace within the team. When talking about this matter, Ocon had some serious hidden warnings in his words saying, "It's an important year in my career, and I want to do the best I can. I don't want any regrets at the end of the year, and there is going to be a lot of work on and outside the track. There are going to be chats with the team because I am in the last year of my contract, and they are now a lot more in my favor than when we negotiated back in 2019. I am a race winner and a podium finisher. We have a lot of arguments in my favor, but after the last race, those arguments would likely be shifted towards Alpine, especially if they went to show on the bill that they would have to pay after his reckless driving." What is massively important here is that Alpine might have finally understood the tension between Gasly and Ocon won't ever go away, no matter how much they hope for, and there might be a time for another driver to step in and replace either one of the Frenchmen. Right now, it's vastly discussed, and it's an open secret that Ocon held talks with Haas regarding Magnussen's seat, who also had a miserable weekend on his own and might have neared the end of his Formula One career after the reckless move on Sergio Perez that took his own teammate out of the race as well. As the dust settles on the Monaco Grand Prix, Alpine finds itself at a crossroads. The French team, despite scoring points for the second time this season, is grappling with a complex teammate dynamic that could potentially reshape its future. Mick Schumacher, who already boasts F1 experience and is currently racing for Alpine's endurance program, is one option. His talent and speed are undeniable, and his experience with Mercedes, particularly in fine-tuning car setups in the simulator, could prove invaluable for Alpine's car development efforts. Another potential candidate is Jack Doane, a protege and academy driver for Alpine last year in F2. Doane's talent and speed are unquestionable, and when compared to Schumacher, it seems like the German driver might have the edge due to his experience. Bruno Famin, the team's boss, has been vocal about the potential collaboration with Schumacher. He praised Schumacher's incredible work in their endurance program and his impressive mindset. Famin acknowledged that while speed is important, it's not always beneficial to clock the fastest lap times due to the balance of performance. He commended Schumacher's cooperative nature and his helpfulness towards his teammates from the very first minute. A few weeks ago, it wasn't entirely clear which driver Alpine would prefer to part ways with after a disappointing start to the season. However, slowly but surely, that driver seems to be shaping up to be Esteban Ocon. His reckless driving and unnecessary moves, particularly in situations where he should prioritize the team's greater good, suggest that he might not be mature enough to lead Alpine back to the midfield. Ironically, Ocon was the last podium scorer for Alpine at the same place last year. This could be the place that also seals his future with the French squad. It will be interesting to see what kind of consequences Famin is referring to in the aftermath of Monaco 2024. With all this in mind, do you think there is a legitimate situation in which we will see the all-French lineup in Alpine being broken? If so, where do you think Ocon will end up, and who will replace him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest F1 news.